You know who he is. Even if you haven't named him yet, even if you haven't admitted it to yourself, he's there, orbiting your life, weaving a web so subtle you almost believe it's a coincidence. Almost, because you're a Scorpio, and deep down you've always known that nothing is a coincidence when it comes to the people who appear in our lives wearing masks. He's wearing one, and you need to remove it before it's too late. There's a man in your life. He could be someone who just arrived. He could be someone who's always been around, waiting for the right moment. And he's not who he's pretending to be. Your Scorpio energy has already picked up on this, has sensed the dissonance between his words and his true intentions. But you've been doubting yourself. You've been questioning your own perception. You've been convincing yourself that you're being paranoid, overly suspicious, complicated, like they always say you are. Stop it. Now. Your intuition never lies. Never. And right now, as you read these words, something in your chest is tightening because you know exactly who I'm talking about. You can feel his face forming in your mind. You can remember that moment where something didn't add up, that conversation where the pieces didn't quite fit together, that look that lasted half a second longer than it should have. These weren't insignificant moments. They were warnings. Warnings from your soul trying to protect you from something that hasn't yet fully manifested, but is coming. He studied you, not romantically or with genuine interest, in a calculated way. He observed your reactions, tested your limits, mapped your vulnerabilities, and now he's ready to take the next step in his plan. A plan you don't know about, but which your Scorpio essence has already sensed as a real threat to your peace, your energy, perhaps even your sanity, because he doesn't just want to have you, he wants to control you. And the difference between those two things is the difference between being alive and being dead inside. Have you noticed how he always shows up in your moments of vulnerability? How he always has the right word at the right time, the perfect advice when you're confused, the magic solution when you're in crisis. That's not luck, that's not a special connection, that's not destiny, it's strategy. He created some of these crises, he fueled some of these confusions, he planted seeds of doubt and insecurity only to later appear as the savior. And it worked. So far. What scares me about this situation isn't just what he wants from you, it's what you're willing to give up to maintain the illusion that he's different. To believe you've finally found someone who understands you, to avoid facing the devastating reality that once again, your ability to see through people's masks was right, and you chose to ignore it out of fear of loneliness, out of tiredness of always being the complicated one, out of hope that this time would be different. But it's never different with men like him. They are collectors of intense souls, hunters of powerful women, predators who feed specifically on the transformative energy you carry within. They sniff out Scorpios from afar because they know we are a source of life, passion, and regenerative strength. And instead of honoring this energy, they want to possess it, control it, and eventually destroy it. Because empty men feel powerful when they can empty full women. Have you noticed how he talks about other women in his life? How there's always a story where he's the victim and they're the crazy ones, the possessive ones, the difficult ones. How he always manages to twist the narrative so that you feel sorry for him and angry at them. This is the most brilliant part of his manipulation. He makes you believe you're special, different from the others, the only one who truly understands him. All the while instilling in you the exact same behaviors he'll later use to discredit you and make you doubt your own sanity. Because that's what men like him do, Scorpio. They take our natural ability to dive deep into connections, our need for true intimacy, our tendency to give everything when we love and turn it into a weapon against ourselves. They make us believe our intensity is a problem, that our need for truth is exaggerated, that our heightened perception is paranoia. Until we can no longer trust ourselves, until we start constantly apologizing for who we are. He knows you have a history of deep wounds. He knows you've been betrayed, abandoned, and misunderstood. And instead of treating these wounds with the care they deserve, he pokes at them. subtly, in a way that seems accidental. He makes small comments that reopen old scars. He creates situations that reactivate your traumas. And when you react, when your pain manifests, he uses it as proof that you're unstable, that you're the problem. But you're not the problem, you never were. The problem is that you keep giving chances to men who don't even deserve to look at you. The problem is that you keep trying to save people who don't want to be saved, who actually want to drag you down with them. The problem is that you've confused love with sacrifice. You've confused understanding with tolerance of the unacceptable. You've confused deep connection with acceptance of emotional crumbs. And he knows it. That's why he chose you. That's why he studied your every reaction. That's why he mapped out your every unmet need, so he could give you just enough to keep you hooked, but never enough to completely satisfy you. To leave you always hungry for more, always questioning whether you're asking for too much, always adjusting to receive less than you deserve. Have you noticed how he's never completely available? How there's always something holding him back from fully committing? A problematic ex, a demanding job, a complicated family, a delicate financial situation. Always something. And you, being who you are, always find a way to understand, to be understanding, to wait for him to resolve things. Without realizing that these situations never resolve because he doesn't want them to. They're the perfect excuse to keep you on the back burner while he keeps his options open. Because men like him don't close doors, they collect keys. You're a key in his collection, one he can use when he needs energy, validation, someone to absorb his frustrations and return unconditional affection. But you'll never be his main home. You'll always be his vacation home. The place he returns to when he wants a break from the effort he's putting in elsewhere. And the cruelest part is that he'll make you believe this is your choice, that you're free, that you're not trapped, that you can leave whenever you want. But every time you threaten to leave, he does exactly what's necessary to bring you back. A vague promise of change, a declaration of love at the right moment, a romantic gesture calculated to make you believe this time is different. And you come back. Because you want to believe, because you need to believe, but deep down you know, you've always known. Your Scorpio energy can't be completely fooled. That's why you've been living in this constant tension. That's why you can't completely relax around him. That's why you keep getting that strange feeling in your stomach when he says certain things. That's why your dreams have been restless. That's why you've been feeling this inexplicable urgency to resolve something you can't even quite name. It's your soul screaming at you to wake up before it's too late. Before you invest so much time, so much energy, so much love in this person that the loss becomes devastating. Before you become so emotionally dependent on them that you can no longer imagine your life without them. Before they finish weaving their web and you find yourself completely trapped without the strength to fight, with no prospect of escape. For Scorpios born between October 23rd and November 2nd, this man is connected to your professional or personal fulfillment. He may be sabotaging your projects, undermining your confidence, and making you doubt your abilities. For those born between November 3rd and 12th, he's interfering in your family or friendship relationships, creating conflict, sowing doubts, and isolating you from the people who truly love you. And for those born between November 13th and 22nd, he's directly attacking your self-esteem and self-perception, making you believe you don't deserve anything better and should settle for scraps. But regardless of how he's acting in your life, the goal is always the same: to empty you, make you forget your power, convince you that you need him to be complete, make you believe that without him, you'll return to being that lonely, misunderstood woman, too intense for any normal person to bear. And you've been swallowing this narrative because it touches on very old fears, very deep wounds, insecurities you've carried since childhood. But I need you to understand something fundamental. You've never needed him. You've always been whole. You've always been powerful. You've always been extraordinary. What you need isn't someone who tolerates your intensity. What you need is someone who celebrates it, someone who sees your depth as a gift, not a burden. Someone who wants to dive with you into the deep waters of life, not someone who forces you to stay on the surface so as not to disturb them. And that someone exists. But you'll never find them while you're wasting your energy on someone who doesn't deserve even a minute of your attention. You'll never attract true love while you're accepting crumbs and calling them abundance. You'll never know your true capacity for happiness while you're settling for the version of happiness they offer, a conditional, limited happiness, always dependent on their moods, their decisions, their convenience. The truth you need to face is that you're afraid of being alone. You're terrified of discovering that there might be no one who can handle your whole truth. And that's why you've chosen to stay with someone who makes you feel small, rather than risk being with no one and discovering your true magnitude. But the loneliness you fear isn't nearly as destructive as the toxic relationship you're in to avoid it. Because when you're alone, you can grow, you can heal, you can discover yourself. You can develop your intuition and your strength. You can learn to truly love yourself. You can prepare yourself to recognize true love when it appears. But when you're trapped in toxic dynamics, you just wither. You just adapt. You just survive. And a Scorpio who just survives is a denial of everything she came into this world to do. You came to transform. You came to regenerate. You came to show that it's possible to die to limited versions of yourself and be reborn stronger, wiser, more powerful. But how can you do that if you're wasting your transformative energy trying to change someone who doesn't want to change? How can you be reborn if you're stuck in situations that only make you wither away? Your energy is sacred. Your ability to love deeply is a rare gift. Your intuition is a powerful tool for navigating life, and you're handing all of this over to someone who has no idea of the treasure they hold. Worse still, to someone who knows exactly the value of what you offer and chooses to squander it, because they don't have to put in the effort to keep you around. Because the truth is, you've been making things too easy for him. You've been accepting excuses you shouldn't have. You've been forgiving behavior that should be unforgivable. You've been justifying attitudes that anyone with healthy self-esteem would send packing. And as long as you keep doing this, he has no reason to change. Why would he? He's getting everything he wants without having to give anything in return. But I have news for you. It's not too late. There's still time to wake up. There's still time to choose differently. There's still time to honor who you truly are and let go of those who can't recognize your worth. And when you do, when you finally put your foot down and say, I'm done with this, something interesting will happen. Either he'll reveal his true colors, and you'll see clearly that you were right all along, or he'll try to change to keep you around. If he reveals his true colors, you'll feel relieved. You'll finally have confirmation that your intuition was right. You'll be able to grieve this loss with the certainty that you made the right decision. You'll be able to move forward without wondering if you should have tried again. But if he tries to change, then you need to be even more careful. Because changes motivated solely by fear of loss aren't true changes. They're temporary performances. And you need to be able to distinguish between someone who has truly transformed and someone who has simply learned to better hide their true intentions. The only way to know if his change is real is by giving it time, by maintaining your firm boundaries, by not falling back into old patterns just because he's temporarily acting differently, by observing whether the changes persist, even when he's not at risk of losing you, and most importantly, by observing whether you feel genuinely respected and valued, or if you simply feel less disrespected than before, because you deserve more than just less disrespect. You deserve to be loved abundantly. You deserve to be a priority, not an option. You deserve to be absolutely certain that you're with someone who woke up happy to have you in their life. You deserve to be with someone who sees your flaws and still can't imagine being anywhere else. You deserve someone who doesn't need to be forced to treat you well because it comes naturally to them. And until you have that, it's better to be alone. It's better to invest your energy in yourself. It's better to develop your relationship with your own essence. It's better to learn to be your own favorite company. Because when you become your own priority, when you become your own source of love and validation, you become immune to manipulators. You become able to recognize fake love from miles away. You become selective in a healthy way. And then, when someone truly worthy of your energy comes along, you'll know. You won't have doubts. You won't spend nights awake analyzing every conversation, every gesture, every word. You won't feel anxious or insecure. You'll feel at home. You'll feel safe to be completely yourself. You'll feel celebrated for your intensity, not tolerated despite it. But to get there, you need to do something that will be the hardest thing of your life. You need to walk away from him. And when I say walk away, I'm not talking about taking a break, emotionally blackmailing him, or testing whether he'll come back. I'm talking about actually walking away, blocking him, not giving him room for manipulation, not giving him a chance to convince you that you're overreacting, that you're throwing away something good, that you're being dramatic as usual. Because he'll try. He'll use every weapon he's learned to wield with you. He'll appeal to your compassion, your need to be needed, your fear of regret. He'll promise change. He'll swear he finally understands. He'll tell you everything you've always wanted to hear, and you'll want to believe him. You'll want to give him another chance. You'll want to see if this time is different, but it isn't. It never is. And you, deep down, know this. That's why you're watching this video. That's why something inside you tightened when you read the title. That's why you're feeling this mix of fear and relief as each word confirms what your intuition has been telling you for months. You already know what you need to do. You're just looking for the courage to do it. And courage doesn't come from feeling strong enough to deal with the consequences. Courage comes from finally being tired enough of accepting crumbs. It comes from finally being fed up with questioning yourself, justifying yourself, adapting to fit into spaces too small for you. It comes from finally preferring the uncertainty of loneliness to the certainty of wasting your life with someone who doesn't deserve even a second of your time. Scorpio, you are a force of nature. You are storm and calm. You are death and rebirth. You are mystery and revelation. You are depth most people don't even dream exists. And you are handing all of this over to someone who doesn't even have the capacity to see it, let alone appreciate it. Stop. Now. Before it's too late. Before you waste more time, more energy, more pieces of yourself. Before he finishes convincing you that you're the problem. Before you completely forget who you are when you're not trying to fit into his expectations. Before you lose touch with your own intuition from being so convinced it's wrong. The woman you were before him still exists within you. The woman you can become after him is waiting for her chance to emerge. But she can only be reborn if you allow the current version, the one that accepts crumbs and calls it love, to die. And this death, as frightening as it may seem, will be the most liberating thing you will ever do in your life, because on the other side of this death lies your true life, your true strength, your full capacity to love and be loved. There's the version of you that doesn't apologize for being intense, that doesn't shrink to fit in, that doesn't settle for less than you deserve. There's the Scorpio you came into this world to be, and she is extraordinary. If this message reached you, it wasn't a coincidence. It was your soul using all its resources to wake you up before you completely lose yourself in this situation. Share in the comments, even if it's just a symbol, if you recognize this man in your life. You don't need to give details. Your soul recognizes the truth, and that's enough. Subscribe to this channel because what you've just learned about this situation is just the beginning. You'll need a lot of support to stay firm in your decision to value yourself. You'll need constant reminders of who you truly are when longing and manipulation try to make you backtrack. Turn on notifications to receive every message that can help you maintain your strength and clarity. The man you need to be wary of is in your life. The warning has been given. Now you choose. Continue to pretend you didn't notice, or finally honor your intuition and free yourself before it's too late. Your Scorpio soul knows the right choice. Trust it. It has never let you down, even when you chose not to listen. This time, listen before it's too late.